Has there ever been a time when you walked past a public place and saw the countless amount of kids on their smartphones, practically glued to the screen and not looking up for anything? Smartphones can become addicting. They can lead to anxiety and depression, along with altered social skills, and they may even cause other health implications. I am claiming to you today that both children and young adolescents should not have smartphones. I just want to say a quick disclaimer that technology is progressing more and more each day. If you yourself or someone you know has children and they believe that a smartphone is the best option for their kids, then do not let this speech tell you any different. I'm going to be informing you on the information that I found from places like Elon University, Psalm.org, Psych Central, and authors like Jennifer Im and Tessa Jones. I'm going to be talking to you today about the social implications and the psychological effects on the developing brain in young children, how smartphones themselves can become significantly addicting, and how constantly being online causes children to be more susceptible to predators and even cyberbullies. The need that I am stressing today is that we need to stop allowing young children and adolescents to have smartphones with no regulations. And when I say regulations, I mean how long they're using the smartphone for and what they can access. This problem is important because if the excessive usage of smartphone in children and adolescents is not monitored, then there's a greater chance it can lead to brain damage and severely altering their social skills. And children may even form an unhealthy addiction before they're even considered an adult. Stephanie Pappas wrote in her article called The Social Mind, stating that people with a larger social network seem to have larger orbital prefrontal cortexes. Big word. The orbital prefrontal cortex is the region in the brain that determines how active our social life is. In a child with a developing brain, continuously being on their smartphone can severely impact the way this part of their brain develops. This region of the brain is key for understanding social situations, and people with damage to these regions are notoriously bad at interacting with others. But the ultimate size of any region of our brains determines in part on how we used it during our childhood. Jennifer Im wrote in one of her articles called The Social Implications of Children's Smartphone Addiction that smartphone addiction has a negative impact on the individual's psychological health, as well as their academic and work performance. Previous studies focused on psychological factors and found that stress, loneliness, anxiety, and depression are positively related to smartphone addiction. Tessa Jones from Elon University found that the Department of Internal Medicine conducted an experiment that evaluated how behavioral addiction is correlated to substance addiction. They said, behavioral addiction, such as internet addiction, is similar to drug addiction, except that in the former, the individual is not addicted to a substance, but the behavior or the feeling brought about by the relevant action. And according to Kids Live Safe, in 2013, the average time spent online for 12 to 15-year-olds was 17 hours per week. Spending more time online allows children to become more vulnerable to sexual predators, sexual offenses, and cyberbullying. In addition to leaving less time for family outings, televisions, and getting physical activity outside with friends or a sports team. Now I'm going to talk to you about what you can do in the future with your own children or children you may know to help to reduce the amount of children using these smartphones. My plan is to educate parents and guardians so they are fully aware of the damages your child will be exposed to by simply giving them a smartphone. I believe my plan will work because it will provide a sense of truth to these parents. They will be told real-life examples and experiences from these authors and speakers that truly make it real, and possibly even scare them a little bit about what could really happen to their child. A lot of them believe that it can happen to their child, but in reality, it can happen to every child who is given a smartphone. Here's my vision of what I believe the future can be like if my plan is implemented with my stated points in mind. If my plan is adapted, then hopefully the results the audience will experience is seeing less kids and young teens on a smartphone constantly and start seeing more of them outside socializing face-to-face among themselves and others. The children of audience members and even audience members who plan on having children are directly informed of the danger of smartphones within my speech. A generation that is currently on their smartphones can lead to obesity, isolation, and no socialization alongside the already stated arguments. Picture the scene from WALL-E where everybody is glued to the screen in front of them and they don't notice anybody else around them or anything else around them. They're constantly on the electric chairs and they are riding around the boat and all they see is the screen this close. We need to stop giving children the access to smartphones. And to conclude, the importance of not allowing a child to have a smartphone is greatly significant. By allowing them a smartphone, it can affect them long-term and greatly in the future. Stop giving children the access to smartphone because of the social implications, the addiction, and the vulnerability. By not giving your child a smartphone until they're at a respectful age and can no longer endure serious health implications, you can truly make an impact on the brain development of your child and how they function later in their life. This is a serious problem, and we need to account for it now. Thank you.